In August 1914, a ship named Endurance set sail from England. This marked the beginning of one of the most ambitious and perilous expeditions in the history of exploration. On board were Sir Ernest Shackleton and his crew of 27 men, each one hand-picked for their skills, resilience, and unwavering spirit. They were bound for the icy expanse of the Antarctic, a place of stark beauty and unforgiving conditions. Their goal was ambitious, to be the first to cross the entire Antarctic continent on foot, a feat that had never been attempted before. It was a journey fraught with danger, but their spirits were high, fueled by the spirit of exploration and the thrill of the unknown. The camaraderie among the crew was palpable, and their shared sense of purpose kept them motivated. The Antarctic held a powerful allure in the early 20th century. It was a land of mystery and untapped potential, drawing adventurers from around the world. It was the last great unconquered wilderness on Earth, a place where few had dared to venture, and even fewer had survived. Shackleton and his men were determined to write their names in the history books. They meticulously prepared their equipment, knowing that their survival depended on their readiness. They would face the harshest conditions imaginable, from bone-chilling temperatures to relentless winds and blizzards. Their courage and resilience would be tested to the limit. Every day was a battle against the elements, and their unity was their greatest strength. The journey south was long and arduous. The seas were rough, with waves that towered over the ship, threatening to capsize it at any moment. The temperatures plummeted as they sailed closer to their destination. The cold was biting, seeping into their bones and making every task more difficult. The men battled seasickness and the psychological strain of being confined to close quarters for weeks on end. The lack of personal space and the constant motion of the ship took a toll on their mental health. Yet they pressed on, driven by the belief that they were on the cusp of making history. Their determination was unwavering, and their eyes were set on the prize. Their target was the Weddell Sea, a notoriously icy and treacherous body of water off the coast of Antarctica. It was a place where many had failed before, but they were undeterred. It was here that Shackleton planned to land his expedition and begin the overland journey. The Weddell Sea was the gateway to their ultimate goal. The Weddell Sea was known for its unpredictable nature. The ice could shift and change in an instant, creating a labyrinth of obstacles. It was a place where pack ice could trap even the sturdiest of ships. The Endurance was built to withstand the ice, but even she was not invincible. Shackleton knew the risks, but he was undeterred. His leadership and vision inspired his men to push forward, no matter the cost. He believed that fortune favored the bold. Shackleton's unwavering belief in their mission and his ability to inspire his crew would become the cornerstone of their survival in the face of overwhelming odds. After months at sea, the Endurance finally reached the last outpost of civilization. This outpost stood as the final gateway before the vast, uncharted wilderness of the Antarctic. South Georgia Island, a remote and unforgiving place, awaited them. It was a volcanic island, its rugged peaks perpetually shrouded in mist and snow, creating an eerie yet majestic landscape. For the weary crew of the Endurance, it was a welcome sight, a brief respite from the endless expanse of the ocean. They anchored in a sheltered bay, a small haven amidst the harsh surroundings. The men eagerly went ashore to stretch their legs, relishing the opportunity to feel solid ground beneath their feet and enjoy a brief respite from the confines of the ship. Little did they know that this would be their last taste of true civilization for many months to come, a fleeting moment of normalcy before the trials that lay ahead. South Georgia was a crucial stop for the expedition, a place to gather strength and resources. It was here that they would take on final supplies, ensuring they had everything needed for the perilous journey ahead. Every item was meticulously checked and double-checked. Shackleton used the time on South Georgia to recruit additional crew members, seeking out those with the skills and resilience necessary for the harsh conditions they would face. He needed men with experience in polar conditions, individuals who could withstand the extreme cold and isolation. He found them among the whalers who worked in the harsh environment of the island, men who were no strangers to the dangers of the Antarctic. These were men who knew the dangers of the Antarctic firsthand, their experience and toughness making them ideal candidates for the expedition. Their skills and knowledge would prove invaluable in the months to come, providing the crew with the expertise needed to navigate the treacherous conditions. As the Endurance prepared to leave South Georgia and venture into the Weddell Sea, the atmosphere was a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The crew knew they were on the brink of an extraordinary adventure. The men knew that they were sailing into the unknown, a vast and unforgiving expanse where few had ventured before. The challenges ahead would be immense, with the icy waters and unpredictable weather posing constant threats, but they were also bolstered by a sense of purpose and the camaraderie that had developed between them during the long voyage south. This bond would be their greatest strength in the face of adversity. As the Endurance sailed into the horizon, the crew carried with them the hopes and dreams of their expedition, ready to face whatever lay ahead with determination and unity. Leaving the relative safety of South Georgia behind, the Endurance sailed into the Weddell Sea. The mood on board was optimistic, the ship was strong, the crew was prepared. They were confident that they could navigate the icy waters and reach their destination. But the Antarctic had other plans. The temperature dropped. The sea began to freeze around the ship. At first the ice was just a nuisance. It slowed their progress but didn't pose a serious threat. However, as days turned into weeks, the situation grew more dire. The ice thickened and closed in around the Endurance, squeezing the ship in its icy grip. The ship was trapped. There was no escaping the relentless pressure of the ice. The crew were now prisoners of the Antarctic. Their dreams of being the first to cross the continent were shattered. They were now facing a fight for survival. Their carefully laid plans were useless. They were at the mercy of the ice and the unforgiving elements. Despite the dire situation, Shackleton remained calm and decisive. He knew that panic would be their undoing. He rallied his men. He reminded them that they were facing this challenge together. He instilled in them the belief that they could survive this ordeal. His leadership was crucial in maintaining morale during those dark early days of their entrapment. Section 4. Endurance tested. There was a sturdy ship, built to withstand the pressures of polar exploration. But the relentless force of the Antarctic ice was unlike anything ever experienced before. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the ship groaned and creaked under the strain. Life on board that became a test of endurance in itself. The ship was their only refuge from the biting cold and the howling wind. The cramped conditions took their toll. Privacy was non-existent. The constant threat of the ice breaking up around them weighed heavily on their minds. To combat the psychological strain of their confinement, Shackleton encouraged his men to maintain a strict routine. They exercised regularly on the ice floes beside the ship. They held lectures and sing-alongs to keep their spirits up. They celebrated birthdays and holidays as best they could, clinging to any semblance of normalcy in their extraordinary circumstances. Through it all, Shackleton led by example. He remained optimistic and resolute. He shared the hardships of his men, eating the same rations and participating in the same back-breaking tasks. He understood that his own strength of character was essential in keeping hope alive among his crew. Section 5. The ship cannot survive. The Antarctic summer came and went, bringing with it a brief respite from the harshest cold, but it was not enough to free the Endurance from its icy prison. The ice surrounding the ship showed no signs of relenting. It was as if the ship was held in a vice grip, with the ice tightening its hold with each passing day. In fact, the pressure intensified. The ice, driven by the relentless forces of nature, began to crush the ship with an almost deliberate cruelty. The ship began to suffer structural damage. The timbers creaked and groaned under the immense pressure, and the once sturdy vessel began to buckle. The once proud vessel was now being slowly crushed by the relentless force of nature. The masts leaned at precarious angles, and the hull was breached in several places. On October 27, 1915, Shackleton made the heartbreaking decision to abandon ship. It was a decision born out of necessity, not choice. The Endurance was beyond saving. The ship that had carried them so far was now destined to be swallowed by the ice. The crew salvaged what supplies they could carry. Every man took what he could, knowing that their survival depended on these precious resources. They set up camp on the ice floe that had been their prison for so long. The ice, once an enemy, was now their only refuge. They were now homeless in the most inhospitable environment on Earth. The Antarctic was a place of extreme cold, fierce winds, and perpetual danger. The loss of the Endurance was a devastating blow. It was more than just a ship to the men. It had been their home, their sanctuary, and their hope. It was more than just a ship to the men. It had been their home, their sanctuary, the place where they had shared meals, stories, and dreams of returning home. Now, they were truly alone. adrift on a drifting island of ice, hundreds of miles from land. The vast, empty expanse of the Antarctic stretched out before them, a frozen wilderness with no mercy. Now, they were truly alone, adrift on a drifting island of ice, hundreds of miles from land. The vast, empty expanse of the Antarctic stretched out before them, a frozen wilderness with no mercy. The odds of survival seemed insurmountable, yet, even in the face of this disaster, Shackleton refused to give up hope. His leadership was the beacon that guided them through the darkest times. He gathered his men around him. He spoke to them with a calm and steady voice, instilling in them a sense of purpose and determination. He told them that they would survive. They would reach safety. His words were not empty platitudes, they were a promise, a commitment to each and every man. His words were not empty platitudes, they were a statement of intent, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human will to live. Shackleton's resolve was unshakable, and his men drew strength from his unwavering confidence. They were a statement of intent, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human will to live. Shackleton's resolve was unshakable, and his men drew strength from his unwavering confidence. The destruction of the Endurance marked a turning point in their ordeal. They were no longer fighting to save their ship, they were now fighting for their lives. They were no longer fighting to save their ship, they were now fighting for their lives. Every action, every decision was now focused on survival. They were now fighting for their lives. Their survival would depend on their ability to adapt to their unforgiving surroundings, their willingness to endure unimaginable hardship, and most importantly, their faith in their leader. Their survival would depend on their ability to adapt to their unforgiving surroundings, their willingness to endure unimaginable hardship, and most importantly, their faith in their leader. Their willingness to endure unimaginable hardship, and most importantly, their faith in their leader. Shackleton's leadership would be the key to their survival, and most importantly, their faith in their leader. Shackleton's leadership would be the key to their survival. His ability to inspire and motivate his men would be tested to the utmost limit.